Hello, my name is Hannah Glazer, and today I'll be presenting to you my portfolio presentation. A bit about myself: I am a queer disabled artist whose experiences with both of those aspects of self are frequently referenced in my work, and I am from Orlando, Florida. My focus is in printmaking, and relief is my specialty in that. Some of my inspirations include the radical craft movement, political art, and graphic narratives, all three of which are very well conveyed through the art collective Meow Wolf, the writer Emil Ferris, and the artist Jesse Herod, and who I found through the writing of curator Danny Orendorff, who also has been deeply influencing my more recent artwork. All three of these artists focus on and conveying particular concerns through societal issues in their work, as well as using very vibrant palettes, which I also thoroughly enjoy on aesthetic level in my own work. Some other inspirations include horror iconography, particularly that of the 70s and 80s, as well as in more recent years, the work of Guillermo del Toro. Some themes of mine are the intersection of gender, sexuality, and disability, and how through my own personal lens I can use media representation and tropes to convey my thoughts on these issues, as well as class disparity in the art hierarchy and how kitsch and craft are frequently overlooked in modern time as well as art history. So a bit about my process: I am not overly precious at the start and will just put down all of my designs and ideas at once, frequently overlapping, and to just get as much as I can out there to use as raw material for later, where I can refine the composition in a draft in my sketchbook, and then take the aspects of it into a Photoshop setting to compose the imagery and transfer it over to my blocks, where I will proceed to start carving. I will frequently leave openings in it as I work, so then I can let the scale of the piece inform what I will be adding to it, as I feel, well, looking into the sketchbook itself, the size does not always convey clearly how it will look at a larger scale, so letting it be informed in progress is a more beneficial way of working. And then I will end up with a piece like this, which is entitled Hysteria, and is about the way people who are assigned female at birth are frequently mistreated in the medical field and have their emotions used against them rather than having treatments occur, and how this has happened frequently in my own matriarchal lineage. Another series I wanted to discuss was Running Girl, which was a response to on-campus harassment, and is done in the perspective of my own experiences of being stalked by two individuals in my freshman year, which was a time when campus harassment was a very hot topic discussion, and still continues to be. So, to convey this, rather than putting the audience into my own perspective, to create a sense of unease, I put them in the perspective of the person who would be viewing the individual without consent by having the participant be turned away from them. And so there is this lack of consent in the voyeurism of the situation, as well as making it more pertinent to my own personal situation by composing this piece on the bridge where I experienced this harassment during my freshman year. Another series I wanted to talk about was Domestic versus Workplace, a personal and public abuse situation, where in 3 layers I placed situations of Black-Eyed Susans representing domestic violence, and the clocks for the Radium Girls in workplace violence, and finally the individual having their skin be carved away in ways to show how even when the individual is still present, and these issues, as they continue to be pertinent to them, can affect how they are perceived and who they are until they get away into a safer situation. Finally, for my most recent series, I'm a Minor, which is about the sexualization and gender enforcement on femme-presenting minors. In my research, I found many gratuitous displays of clothing that are marketed and worn by children, and for particularly femme-presenting children and below the age of 16. All of the images you can see are of what are entitled child influencers, and are worn by people who are under the age of 16. And children frequently lack the ability to fight for their own identity or their own protections, and the adults and influences around them are what causes the situations where they wear these clothes. So for my piece to convey this message, I was creating 3 large-scale paper dolls the size of actual 11-year-olds in a variety of clothing that can be seen here. And I proceeded to iron on interfacing and magnets so that these paper dolls can be dressed by the audience. It will have a participatory factor in the gallery, and they will have a selection from all the available clothes that have different varieties of gender presentation and as well as sexualization, and either in reference directly to the social media influencers or the history of certain clothing being sexualized on minors, such as the quote-unquote "oh, sexy schoolgirl uniform." And then the audience will be able to put onto these 3 figures the clothing that they deem appropriate, quote unquote, for the children, and or the lack of propriety. And it will help convey the message of how clothing and identity is frequently imposed onto kids, whether or not they have an awareness of their own identity yet, regardless. And so I also am including 3 different children of different races to also mention how race has an effect on this, as children, particularly of Black or Asian descent, and get hypersexualized to an even greater degree early on in life and are forced into either infantilization and or early like adulthood, quote unquote, for like the commodification of their bodies. Some sources of the work I have researched today. And I wanted to say a special thank you to Shayla Goloborodko, Andy Kozlowski, and Jessica Borowski. I really truly appreciate all the professors in the art department, but these 3 in particular, especially this semester, have really helped my work develop to be the way that it is in my senior showcase and has made me the artist who I am now. And it feels appropriate to just say a quick thank you at the end of this. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a good evening.